Thank you. Thank you so much. So, what if you could never fail again? I know it's a crazy question, but it's true if you redefine what you really believe about failure. If you change your story about failure. You see, a lot of people think that failure are mistakes that you make. But one thing that I've learned and I have seen across all the speakers that have spoken today and will speak is that they have a concept about failure that's different than the average person. You heard earlier about being extraordinary. And one of the things that a lot of the best people do is they change their concept for what failure really is. You see, the greatest minds know that there are only two main true failures. And these failures are to give up on your dreams, on your goals, on your destiny, or the failure to learn. The failure to learn from the mistakes that you make, the challenges that come up, the things that inevitably happen in all of our journeys, that is the only true failure, is to give up on your dreams or to not learn from the mistakes and the challenges that come up along the way. Now, I discovered this in a really interesting way. I got my start on YouTube when I was 12 years old. I was creating videos, teaching people how to use their iPhone for the first time. I made a lot of mistakes with that first business. I was young at the time and built things up and was able to grow that channel and then launch my career of helping businesses with YouTube ads and marketing. And one of the things that I found in marketing is there's this concept of testing and seeing what works and what doesn't work. It is a natural part of the process. When we would go out and launch new ad campaigns for potential clients, we would see that there's a potential outcome for each of these campaigns. It either is a successful campaign, or maybe it's a campaign that didn't work out as well, or individual ad or individual audience, but we learn from that. You always learn and you say, okay, now we're going to iterate. We're going to test a different angle. We're going to test a different piece, another thing. And this is something that I saw in the world of marketing. So I knew this to be true. At one point, I called it the advertiser's mindset. But I realize now that it's the real entrepreneur's mindset. That mindset is to win or learn. In everything you do, there are two outcomes. You either win and you're successful at that outcome, or you learn and you discover what you can do the next time. And that is such a valuable thing to know. And then the next piece of that is the only decision is the decision for action. Why do people not take action? Well, it's usually because they're worried about the outcome. But I remember a quote that my father told me, which is that worrying is a tax on a debt you may never owe. And so what you need to think about is if every outcome is either a win or a learning lesson, then what is stopping you from taking action and giving yourselves that win or that learning lesson? Because those wins that you have, those build upon themselves, but not everything is a win. And the reality that the people up here would tell you is that actually most things, they're not necessarily a failure, but they're a mistake or they're a learning lesson that builds on a win. You have far more of those early on. That's why so many people don't go down the road that you are going on right now. And people turn back. What you need to do is change your story about failure and about what could happen if you take action. Because what I'm here to tell you today is that you are here for something great. You are here to create an impact and change the world. And that's what I love about this room. And so what I want to encourage you to do is to look and redefine and change your story about failure. And change your story about the mistakes you make. And change your story about taking action so that you can be that person who takes action, changes the world, creates an impact, and creates your own destiny. Thank you.